We often assume that life is a selective sculptor, that it only shapes us through success, through joy, through all that is clean and beautiful. But this is not the nature of existence. Life is inclusive. It does not waste. It does not throw away anything. The pain you thought had no value, the moment of betrayal you buried deep in silence. Even these are raw materials in the hands of a cosmic intelligence that sees far beyond your temporary discomfort. The seed does not bloom without first breaking apart. In the same way, you cannot bloom into your fullness without experiencing some breaking. The human tendency is to label certain events as a bad or a negative. But what if these very moments are the soil in which your roots grow deepest? The pain that bends you also softens you. And in that softening, you become open to grace, to wisdom, to the quiet voice of the divine whispering through the winds of suffering. Have you not noticed that your deepest moments of growth didn't come when everything was easy? It came when you were confused, lost, torn open. That very confusion was part of your becoming. The heartbreak, the humiliation, the hopeless night, they all stripped you of illusion, made you vulnerable, and in that vulnerability you became real. Life doesn't just use your strength, it uses your softness, your wounds, your breakdowns. Even your most silent tears have a place in your evolution. When we look at life with a limited lens, we think, "Oh, this is wrong, this is unnecessary." But from a broader vision, the vision of the whole, even the darkest chapter has its role. You may not see it now, you may even curse it. But just as compost turns into nourishment, your rejected experiences become the very power that feeds your inner fire. That insult, that loss, that mistake, they are not separate from your path, they are the path. And this is why nothing is wasted. The universe is the ultimate recycler. The spiritual journey is not about deleting your past but digesting it. So it becomes fuel, not baggage. Life uses everything, even the painful parts, to mold you, refine you, and invite you into deeper consciousness. The question is not whether the pain had meaning. The question is, will you allow it to teach you? Failure is a word that stings because we've been trained to believe that success is a straight line, a clean path from desire to achievement. But life is not a neatly drawn diagram. It is wild, unpredictable, and full of detours that we never planned. What we call failure is often the universe interrupting a limited vision to carve out a deeper, truer path beneath our feet. Sometimes what breaks your plans is not chaos, it is construction in disguise. When you fall, when things collapse, when your dreams dissolve into dust, pause and observe. In that very dust, something new begins to take shape. House cannot be built unless the ground is first cleared. In the same way, failure often levels the false ground upon which we have been standing. It humbles the ego, silences the noise, and confronts us with what is real. You realize in those moments that you were climbing the wrong mountain, chasing someone else's definition of life. There is wisdom in failure that no victory can teach. When you succeed, the world claps, but when you fail, life speaks. It is in failure that your inner voice grows louder, your perception sharpens, and your character is revealed. The discomfort of it all is not to destroy you, but to rebuild you with more depth, more clarity, more authenticity. You stop chasing applause and start listening to your own rhythm. This is not the end, it's the breaking open of something more sincere. Many of the greatest things in life are born from failure. The most compassionate hearts are not the ones that have never fallen, but the ones that have risen from their own ashes with grace. Your setbacks become the very soil from which your purpose begins to grow. Like a seed buried in the earth, unseen, forgotten, you too are being prepared in the darkness. The roots go down before the tree can rise. What you thought was your ruin becomes your rebirth. Failure then is not the opposite of success. It is the foundation upon which true success stands. Not the success of titles and trophies, but the success of self-realization, inner stillness, and a life lived in alignment. If you allow it, failure becomes a sacred turning point, a fire that burns away illusion and reveals the unshakable core of who you really are. Rejection is a word we take personally. It hurts because we assume it is a reflection of our value, our identity. But have you ever considered that rejection may not be denial, but divine direction? The door that closed may have saved you from walking into a place where your spirit would have shrunk. Sometimes life does not give you what you want because it's preparing you for what you truly need, for what you truly need. There are moments when we chase something with all our effort, a person, a job, a dream, and it slips through our fingers. We feel abandoned, we question our faith. But in time, we look back and see that the very thing we once cried for would have limited us, trapped us, or taken us far away from our deeper path. What you perceived as rejection was life protecting you from something you could not yet see. The mind tends to cling. It gets attached to a certain outcome and calls it destiny. But destiny is not what the mind imagines. It is what the soul is ready for. Rejection comes not to punish, but to wake you up from illusions. The place you are being guided to is often beyond the reach of your current understanding. So the universe, in its silent intelligence, rearranges your path not with cruelty, but with compassion. Think of all the times something didn't go your way and how that forced you to grow. How it moved you into a new direction, introduced you to new people, awakened new skills, or deepened your awareness. Rejection shakes the rigidness of your plans and creates space for something greater. But you will only see this when you stop cursing the closed doors and start trusting the greater movement of life. The real pain is not in the rejection itself, it is in the resistance to it. When you learn to surrender, you will begin to see that redirection is a higher alignment. It's not about being thrown off course, it's about being nudged, gently or forcefully, back to the course your soul truly came here to walk. Life is not saying a no to you, it's saying a not here, not here. This is not where you belong. We are taught to hide our brokenness, to patch it up quickly, to smile over the cracks in our spirit. But what if the cracks are not something to be ashamed of? What if the very places where you feel broken are where life flows in? A perfect vessel holds water, yes, but a broken one allows the rain of grace to enter from every side. There is a strange power in brokenness, not because it is pleasant, but because it humbles the heart and opens the soul. When everything is going well, the mind becomes arrogant. It believes it is in control. But when life pierces you through loss, grief, failure, the walls of the ego begin to crumble. That is when the real journey begins. In your brokenness, you stop pretending, you stop performing, you become raw, vulnerable, real. And it is in this rawness that true transformation is possible. You are no longer hiding from life. You are finally meeting it face to face. Look at the trees after a storm. Some branches are torn, some leaves scattered, but the roots are deeper than ever. Likewise, when you break, your roots search for something more eternal, more stable, more true. The world you once relied on feels too fragile, and so you begin to look within. That inner search only begins when the outer world disappoints you enough. It is often pain that removes the veil of illusion and brings you closer to the essence of being. Those who have never been broken often speak from theory, but those who have walked through fire, they speak from experience. Their words carry weight not because they are loud, but because they are true. Their silence holds wisdom. Their eyes carry depth. Broken people don't wear masks. They've bled enough to know what matters and what doesn't. Their hearts are softer. Their presence is healing. They don't need to impress, they simply exist, and that is enough. So, in a world obsessed with strength, remember this. It is the broken who truly know surrender. It is the broken who become the most open to love, to empathy, to spirit. And when you are open, life can pour itself into you fully, without resistance. You are no longer a closed cup, you become the ocean, receiving everything, losing nothing. In that openness, you no longer seek to be healed. You realize you are always whole in ways the world cannot see. Oh. We are conditioned to avoid suffering at all costs, to numb it, escape it, deny it. But suffering is not always a punishment. Sometimes it is a doorway. It is the fire through which the impurities of the soul are burned away. In a moment, pain feels meaningless. But in its intensity, it creates space for something profound to emerge. The sacredness of suffering lies not in the pain itself, but in what it awakens within you. When life wounds you, it strips away the superficial. You no longer have the luxury of small talk, empty pursuits, or shallow desires. Suffering distills your attention. It narrows your gaze to what truly matters. What once seemed important becomes irrelevant, and what was hidden within you, strength, compassion, stillness, begins to rise. You are not just hurting. You are being carved into someone deeper, someone closer to truth. There are aspects of yourself that you would never have met without suffering. There is a silence, a depth, a resilience that suffering calls forth. It stretches the soul beyond its known boundaries, and in that stretching you encounter your own infinite nature. You realize that beneath the noise of pain is a stillness that cannot be broken, an untouched dimension of you that watches everything and clings to nothing. Great mystics, saints and sages have all passed through the valley of suffering, not because they were cursed, but because suffering was their initiation into the sacred. It taught them surrender. It taught them that the mind is not the master, that control is an illusion, and that real power comes through yielding, not resisting. When you suffer consciously, you begin to listen not just with your ears, but with your heart, your breath, your being. So suffering, when met with awareness, becomes sacred. It burns away the ego, it dissolves the arrogance, it humbles and purifies. It is not the suffering itself that transforms you, it is your willingness to sit with it, to breathe through it, to allow it. In that sacred space, you are not being destroyed. You are being reborn into someone you never knew you could be.